to the track, the wall, makes the leap, and makes the catch! Amazing catch by Junior! He got it! A perfect game! 13 strikeouts! Line pitching out towards straightaway center field, drifting out toward right center, shot at the wall, leaps up, and he makes the catch! Mike Trout with another spectacular grab! There is out number 2. Bonds hit play high. Hits it deep. It is out of here. 7:56. What a special moment for Barry Bonds. Swinging a long drive. Deep to right. Going. Goodbye. He has done it. He has changed the game of the night.
Hello and welcome to another
episode of
Champions Adjust. We did that pretty much in unison.
Except not.
Anyways, hello, welcome back to the Champions Adjust podcast, your most favorite baseball podcast of all time. We cover everything from bat flips to short hops to youth baseball to pro baseball to all the good stuff in between. And we have a few really good topics for you today. If you're watching this via YouTube, you can probably guess one of the subjects we will talk about. We will also talk about Coach Bodzin's rise to podcast fame.
Oh, God. How about basketball Illuminati?
His rise to podcast fame. But other than that, we're just going to hop right in. I have one question to ask you, Coach Bodzin, to get this party started.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, we are recording this on September 28th. Mm-hmm. Which means October baseball, playoff baseball, right around the corner.
Here we go. We got to do an episode next week to do our predictions, huh?
Well,
I'm not ready to do my predictions right
no,
now.
that's why I'm going to ask you this initial question.
Sure.
But we will do a pod when all of the playoff spots are solidified.
I already know who's going to win.
We will go into those kinds of predictions. But I'm saying right now, who's in the World Series and how many games they win by.
I'm going to go Braves Astros.
Braves Astros.
Braves in 6.
Braves in 6. Okay, we're holding each other accountable here on this podcast. So you heard it. We made this prediction on September 28th. Braves, Astros, yeah. Braves in 6.
Zero research done, and I've watched a lot of baseball this year, and that's what I got. About you?
I got Cardinals over Yankees in 6.
Dude, that would fire me the fuck up, honestly.
Cardinals over Yankees.
We're in my office right now. My lovely wife put a zombie Yankee behind us, right next to our Andy Cohen St. Louis Cardinals bobblehead. Love you, Andy. You'll never hear this, but I love you.
You never know.
You never know. He's a big Cardinals fan. What do you got? He already told you that. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Cardinals over Yankees in 6. Yeah. You got Braves over Astros in 6.
I think that
neither of us are going Dodgers, eh?
Part of it, I just don't trust Dave Roberts. I would love to. I just don't think Dave Roberts wins playoff series enough. He did in 2020.
Sure.
Which people call the fake year. Like everybody's like, oh, the Dodgers won in 2020. That's not a real World Series. Bullshit. Everybody try to win.
It's still real World Series. Yes.
But
it's just a different kind of year.
And they have their holes. They have their holes in the bullpen. But they're by far the best team in baseball. It's insane. Right. Cardinals beat them 11-0 a couple days ago. And then pounced them and held them to 3 runs across 2 days the next 2 days.
So,
and in that game, guess what happened? Our Pujols hit number 699 and 700.
Exactly. What are your initial thoughts on Albert Pujols reaching 700 home runs?
I cried. I was like bawling like a kid. I remember my dad took me to go see him in 2002, I want to say, and got me. It was I think his 3rd season. I was 14, and took me and got me like a little Pujols jersey shirt. I actually have a Pujols jersey on right now. But yeah, he's been one of my favorite players since I've been, 10. So I cried, and it was really cool to see. And my real thoughts are, it's really cool to watch him do that, and Aaron Judge, who has not hit a home run really since we last talked. He's been in a home run slump, if you will.
Yeah, he hasn't hit a home run in about 8 games.
But they're both teams are, they both won the division last night, on the 27th. And so these races are in spite of the fact that they're winning. So as we talked about on our last pod, Pujols not only was approaching 700, but he's doing it to help his team win meaningful games. Same for Aaron Judge. They just won the division yesterday. A little bit less of a race to winning that. They were always pretty much going to win. They stumbled a little bit in the second half.
Yeah, they had just an incredible first half.
Yeah.
Kind of put them in a really good position.
They did, but it was still really cool to see these races. I was watching the Cardinals postgame show yesterday, and what they were talking about was one of the postgame guys said, he was covering Mark McGwire when he hit 70, and how this has a different feel because Mark McGwire was hitting home runs for himself because the team wasn't good. It wasn't his fault.
Right.
But everybody was watching him hit home runs.
Yeah.
With the Cardinals, you got 325 between Yachty and Wainwright. You got an MVP performance from Goldschmidt.
Right.
And you got 700 from Pujols, all while they win the division under a first-year manager.
And another 100 RBI season from
And a
Arenado.
300 for Arenado, who yesterday won his first divisional title in his career.
And Tommy Edmonds playing unbelievable baseball.
Second base and shortstop. Where you can put him. Brendan Donovan, who's going to be a top 5 Rookie of the Year candidate. The guy, his 100th hit was a grand slam to take a lead a few days ago.
Amazing.
And he plays every outfield position, every infield position. He doesn't catch, doesn't pitch. He probably could pitch. A fun team to follow. And that's the biggest thing for me with him hitting 700 is that not once did he make it about himself. We talked about how, when he tied A-Rod, he said, I don't care. I helped us tie the game.
Right.
When he hit 700, there was a big report, this guy's going to keep the baseball. And Pujols is like, cool. I don't need it. Baseballs are for the fans. I'm here to win a World Series. And it's just, those are the guys you want to break records and to succeed, right? The ones who are saying, I help my team. I don't really care about myself here. And so, also, and I think, I'll say it right here, it's really impressive that only 2 pitchers have ever hit 700 home runs. Babe Ruth and Albert Pujols.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see Hank Aaron or Barry Bonds getting up on that bump. So
Yeah, well, I have a comment about Barry Bonds here in a second, which I'll make. But I want to keep touching on the Cardinals for a second because this is more than a historic season for them. This is more than just about Pujols' 700. Yachty's retiring at the end of the season, so this
probably should retire.
This is his last playoff run.
Yeah.
Right? Pujols is done after this season. This is his last playoff run. I'm going to say I'm 90% sure that Wainwright will be done too. And those 3 will be done. And those 3 are maybe the top 10 St. Louis Cardinals ever.
Bold statement, considering
Yachty is.
Dizzy Dean.
Yachty's in the top 10 of Cardinals ever.
Okay.
And so is Pujols.
We can come up with a list. We should come up with a list. Okay. I don't disagree with you. But then you look at Gibson and
Ozzie Smith, right?
Smith,
sure, Jim Edmonds.
Yeah. Scott Rowland.
There's a lot of guys, but
we're talking about our era. But then you look at the 1920s.
Yeah, there's a lot to go through.
House gang is just incredibly stacked.
I'm saying that right off the top of my brain.
Sure.
And I think that would be a really cool episode for us to do. We can break down 5 teams and their top 10 players ever.
Look at the Yankees. That's what I love about. I'm married.
If you think that would be a sweet episode,
do we ever get feedback?
Drop us a pin. No, we don't. Not yet.
Well,
but we might. You never know. Got to keep asking.
I think the coolest thing about my wife and I's relationship, baseball related, is that she's a huge Yankees fan and I'm a huge Cardinals fan, and so we're fans of the 2 most storied franchises in baseball history.
You think the Cardinals are more storied than the Cubs?
Yes.
More famous?
Yes, more successful.
More successful for sure, but doesn't mean they're more well-known.
Heard a good joke today. What's the difference between a hot dog at Busch Stadium and a hot dog at Wrigley Stadium?
Huh?
Can't get a hot dog at Wrigley Stadium in October.
Yeah, they don't sell them.
They don't sell them. Can't do it. Don't make the playoffs. Can't buy one there.
Yeah, they make it every, 70 years or something?
The Cardinals, what's the stat that, since Yachty first put on a Cardinals uniform, the Cardinals have been out of contention for the 21 days ever for playoffs in his career since 2004. That is absolutely insane.
Right.
You're looking at 17, 18 years of just always in the playoffs or in playoff contention.
So it's such a really cool year, right? With Pujols, with Yachty, with Wainwright. I'm pumped to what they're going to do in the playoffs, right? As a little kid, I'm hoping and praying they win the World Series just to cap it off, kind of like Peyton Manning's season with the Denver Broncos, right?
The way it should be.
But baseball is very romantic and poetic, but it's also about momentum and who picks up that speed.
Right.
And so you never know who's going to be really hot going into the playoffs.
Good, because they have one of the best closers in the game.
And they are legitimately a good baseball team.
Well, because they're streaky, right? You have the best first and third baseman duo in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
You have the best defensive catcher of all the playoff teams, Yadier Molina. I mean, you can't run on the guy. You have our Pujols, just a great story and great momentum, and he is, is about as seasoned as it gets. He's played in 68. I saw the stat. 68 games in the postseason in his career, which is just insane to me. They have a very Miles Mikolas.
He's been a huge part of their season.
I mean, he's had a few bad starts, but his last two have been incredible. He's looking at potentially being number one. Quintana and Montgomery both traded from the Yankees and from the Pirates. They've been fantastic on the bump. Their worst pitcher right now in the rotation is Adam Wainwright, who just has said his arm's dead.
He'll show up in the playoffs, though.
That's always the hope, right? His cutter's not working. His off speed's not working.
But we've seen Wainwright throw some pretty nasty breaking balls in the playoffs before.
I'll never forget when he won in 06 when he was a closer his rookie year.
One of the coolest things ever. But so that's what we think about the Cardinals. It's awesome. Baseball is really, really quite beautiful like that when things come together. And
Pujols now has 700 home runs. And
so where do you put Pujols on kind of the all-time best players list? Is he in your top 10, top 5, top 20? He's in the top 5?
Top 5. I put him as arguably the greatest right-handed hitter to ever play the game. Right-handed hitter. Now you're looking at, Ruth and Bonds are both lefties, right? And that's the interesting thing about Mike Judge is did King of the Hill. Aaron Judge, is chasing being the first person in the American League to hit 62. The other two who have 61 or 60, Babe Ruth, 61, Roger Maris, both lefties.
Right.
Both Yankees, both lefties. Aaron Judge, righty.
Righty.
And a little bit tougher to hit a home run in Yankee Stadium from the right side than it is the left side with their kitty porch. But yeah, I put Pujols in my top 5 all time, but I'm super biased, and I grew up watching him.
Yeah, I don't think you're that biased. If we were doing a Hall of Fame or not, he gets 100% of the votes.
That's always the curiosity, right? Because there are 2 people have ever gotten unanimous.
He has to get unanimous.
Nolan Ryan was 1 vote off.
Who would say no to
Rivera got unanimous.
Makes sense.
Who else got unanimous? But there'll be a first ballot, but will he be unanimous?
I think he should be.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't know. George W. Bush famously, because he was the owner of the team, famously told Nolan, congratulations on getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. Now we got to track down that one person who voted against you.
So, speaking of Aaron Judge and Barry Bonds, I was watching the Yankees game last night.
Sure.
And Aaron Judge got walked 4 times in that game. Mm-hmm. And the commentators of the game, which were Yankees commentators, were relating it to Barry Bonds.
I don't think it's that arguable. I don't like
and that. I did not agree at all.
Yeah, I don't either.
So in all 4 walks that Aaron Judge got in last night's game, all 4 of them went to 3-2 counts. And there was multiple foul balls in each count, which means Aaron Judge got at least 3 pitches or 3 strikes to hit, and he still walked. So those 4 at-bats are quality at-bats. They're good at-bats. It's really nice to see that he's staying disciplined even though he's chasing 61. So I'm not saying anything about those at-bats specifically. They're really good at-bats.
His strikeout rate has significantly
increased. It's so hard to feel that you want to hit this 61 home run and not leave the strike zone to try and do it.
Sure.
And he didn't do it, and those at-bats were really, really good. So that's not what I'm saying. I'm arguing the point that when Barry Bonds hit 73 home runs in one season, he would get intentionally walked more often than not.
I have a stat for this.
And There was no 3-2 counts. If Bonds got a 3-2 count, he was hitting a baseball somewhere very hard.
Yes.
And in the year that he hit 73 home runs, he swung and missed less times than the amount of home runs he hit. So he swung and missed about 72 times. He hit 73 home runs. So comparing a Aaron Judge 3-2 8-pitch walk to a Barry Bonds basically intentional walk is not the same, and I don't like the comparison, and the seasons aren't the same either. I get why you would make the comparison, because this season from Aaron Judge is the closest we've seen to a season that Barry Bonds had, but that's what I felt, and that's what I was thinking about last night when I was watching the game, and I wanted to relay it here.
Here's why it's incomparable. As of Monday night, September 26th, Aaron Judge was intentionally walked for the 18th time. In 2004, when Barry Bonds hit 73 home runs, he was intentionally walked 120 times. That's not comparable.
Yeah.
That is a 102 walk difference. As of that point, and still, because he hasn't been intentionally walked since, he just got walked 4 times.
Right. Just got walked 4 times.
Barry Bonds was walked 102 more times than Aaron Judge. Between 2004 when he hit 73 and Aaron Judge, he's going for 62 and is in I think it's 7 game right now drought.
Yeah.
We can go PEDs, whatever you want. I've had this conversation several times. Well, Aaron Judge the first to do it clean. Okay, well, define clean, because people have been doing something or another since the 1800s to get a competitive advantage in baseball, and constantly they make those things illegal later on. So, do we know what Aaron Judge is doing? I don't know. Maybe he is completely clean. He's doing this legitimately. I hope so. But also, I don't care.
Right.
You know, hitting a baseball is hard enough as is. Hitting a baseball is hitting a baseball. And there's no comparison to me with 102 walk disparity.
Yeah.
That's not a comparison. I see why it would be a good talking point.
It's a great talking point, but I wanted to flush that out here.
Yes.
When you get intentionally walked with the bases loaded, there's something going on there.
Yes.
I'm willing to give up this automatic run so you don't hit a grand slam.
Yep.
Aaron Judge is never going to get intentionally walked with the bases loaded. I shouldn't say never. Excuse me.
Metrics are different now, too.
I shouldn't say never, but it's most likely not going to happen. We're probably not going to see a baseball player like Barry Bonds. Baseball is different now.
Like the people were going to say, "Go fuck yourself, Barry Bonds. We're not letting you do this." Versus Aaron Judge is more like one of those good guy complexes. It's like, hey, we're going to battle here, and if I lose, that's fine. And if you lose, that's fine too. Versus back in 2004, it was I'd rather get punched in the face than lose to you right now.
Did he hit 73 in 2004? That was 2001.
That's what it was for.
Yeah, check that Google out.
I will. Barry Bonds. Can we cut out the awkward silence?
No.
2001.
2001 or 2004, Barry Bonds, 73.
2004, he hit 45 home runs. I'm sorry. But even then, 45 home runs.
And 2001, he hit 73, right?
And he walked... In 2001, he walked 177 times.
Yes.
And he was intentionally walked 35 times. Okay, so even then, 18 versus 35.
Okay.
And you still got a 17 walk disparity with a 13 home run disparity. Talking out of my ass over here, I'm sorry.
It's okay. We flushed it out. That's all good. I was like I knew he had really good seasons after the 2001 season, but the 2001 stuck in my brain as the 73. But yeah, that home run record probably will never be broken. The all-time one and the season one.
All-time one is very hard to beat.
Very hard to beat.
I saw a top 5 records that are impossible to beat, and Ohtani's 10 wins, 30 home runs thing came up, and I was like, out of all of these, that is the most least.
Yeah,
the most,
Cal Ripken's,
most likely.
Cal Ripken's, Joe DiMaggio, Barry Bonds, Nolan Ryan.
Oh, not even Nolan Ryan. Well, yeah, but Cy Young had something of 400 something complete games. That's never going to happen again.
No one's going to break Nolan Ryan's strikeout record.
Probably not.
Verlander's at 3,000. He's played 17 seasons.
Yeah.
No one's going to play that many games in a row like Cal Ripken.
Wainwright and Molina. That's an unbreakable record. They just broke a record from the 60s with the Tigers.
That probably is unbreakable with that amount of people that's trading and all that stuff. No one stays with the same team. Nope. Joe DiMaggio, 56 games.
And that was tough too because DiMaggio, not only, fun fact I didn't realize, when DiMaggio lost his record and he, just didn't get a hit, the next day he started a 16-game hitting streak.
Yep.
Right afterwards. But he was in the middle of that streak and they tried, he got out. So officially he's having that bat. So now if he doesn't get a hit the rest of the way, he's broken the streak. They try to intentionally walk him. And he leaned over the plate to knock one in the right field. So that makes a difference that now there is no intentionally walk. It's just take the bag.
Right.
So I get you out and I don't want to give up this record. Okay, cool. We're going to intentionally walk you the next day. You're not seeing another pitch. There's no way you're reaching across the plate. So that's
tough, man.
Plus the media, man. Remember Jimmy Rollins had like 32 or 30, he had 36 games straight?
Yeah.
And he was getting asked every single day about it. I mean, shit. Paul Goldschmidt was going for the Triple Crown this year, and when people started focusing on it, he went in a huge slump.
Especially Goldschmidt. He's just like a get to the yard, get shit done, go home. And he's like very right down the line. He's
getting asked every single day about his performance, and he goes in this giant slump. Of course, like the mental psyche is not necessarily when you get out of your routine. Joe DiMaggio, media was there, but you can get away from it,
but not as much.
Get away from it now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Aaron Judge is having that right now because getting to 60 obviously is really hard, but hitting that 61
and 62
is incredibly hard. But off that subject, I got a few things that I want to chat about.
That's it.
Real quick. Yep. One, I want to read this tweet, and then I want to see what this tweet means to you. Okay?
Ooh.
Okay, so here's the tweet. John Wooden, famous coach, didn't win his first national title until his 16th season at UCLA. Starbucks didn't reach store number 5 until 13 years into its history. Sam Waltman or Walmart didn't open his second store until 7 years after starting his company. Be persistent. Success takes time. What does that mean to you, Coach Bodzin?
So the first thing that comes to my mind reading that is the first comment. It was John Wooden.
Yeah.
Won his first national title in his 16th season.
16th season.
No coach in America gets that kind of leash anymore.
Right.
If you're at a big program and you don't win a national title in your first 10 years, you're probably not going to be coaching there anymore.
Right.
But that's my initial takeaway because that's the way I'm jaded by the sports world. Agreed. Life is just full of failures, man. Life is full of failures, and don't give up. If you believe in something, don't give up. I don't like Wooden being in that because that's so different. When you're looking at Sam Walton and Starbucks and the St. Louis Bread Company, aka Panera Bread, things like that become successful over time. And, you're gonna hit a lot of bumps in the road.
Sure.
That's my thoughts. I love persistence is huge, and success does take time. Put the work in.
Yeah, that's just an interesting thing about John Wooden because you're right? No coach now is probably given that long of a tenure if they're not at least having successful winning seasons, let alone winning the big one.
Right.
So.
Gotta be consistent.
It's just interesting, but it does take a lot of time to then especially as a coach, to then figure out what works best with your team. And then once you figure it out, you're able to apply it to every different player that comes through your program, right? Because then when John Wooden figured it out, he had new players every single year. They win 10 straight national titles, right? You look at Nick Saban in Alabama, right? They're good every year, but he has different personnel every year, but he's figured out a formula that allows him to get the best out of his players on the most consistent basis. Yeah. And that's what you want to think about when you're a coach. And so I've been recently talking to our players about this, about the word failure. You heard me talk about, I think you heard me talk about it the other day, right? If you think about the word failure and you want to redefine that word, right? So that when things like this come up in your life, you're able to persist through them and not consider yourself a failure for not getting exactly where you want to get to at the time you want to get there. And so when you think about the word failure, if you define it as the unwillingness to move forward, then that's what you do when basically you quit or you give up. And there's a difference between quitting and giving up and moving on to something else that isn't fit for you anymore. That takes a lot of strength to say, this is not for me. I need to find another path, or I need to find something else that I love. But just saying that you're giving up, you're quitting, you're not moving forward, then that's technically what is considered a failure. But if you have a bump in the road, a setback, you don't win, you don't get a starting spot, you make an error, you have a mistake, you don't make the sale, your kid gets in trouble at school, all of these things are setbacks, but they're not failures because you're deciding to continue moving forward. They're exactly that, right? They're mistakes, not mistake, not a mistake, but a miss-take, right? Just like if you're shooting an arrow, you don't hit the target, that's a mistake. You just want to reload. And the prime example here is with some of these things. Starbucks, Walmart, John Wooden, all they did was reload. And now, John Wooden is considered one of the most, if not the greatest coach of all time. Sure. Everyone knows Starbucks, everyone knows Walmart, all of that stuff. And so it's about being persistent and diligent and patient over the long haul. Especially when you look at sports and athletes. Yes, your physical attributes have a lot to do with it, but they don't have as much to do with it as how consistent you are on doing the work every single day. And that's about moving through your obstacles, moving through your challenges. Champions adjust on a consistent basis. Adjust. Oh. And so I thought that was cool. I was stumbling upon that tweet. I thought it was a nice one.
I do have a small list of greatest coaches in my head.
Okay.
John Wooden.
Yep.
John Madden.
Yep.
David Lovell.
Sweet.
Greatest 3 coaches ever, right?
I love David Lovell.
Yeah, me too.
I think he's an incredible coach.
He's a fantastic coach. A product of one of the greatest baseball coaches to ever live, which is Andy Lopez.
That's your guy.
My guy.
For people who don't know.
David's a guy too.
You're an Andy Lopez guy.
But I am a Andy Lopez guy indeed.
This is the second week in a row that I've worn on this pod, a South Dakota State Jackrabbit shirt.
Nice, dude.
I know. What's up? Bang.
I like it.
Coach Bods, do you have any final thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, funny stories, anecdotes?
It's on a big basketball podcast.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot. I mentioned at the beginning. Coach Bodzin got mad podcast fame. He was like, yo, Champions just ain't doing it for me anymore. I'm gonna go spread my wings with the Illuminati.
Yeah.
So tell us how this came. Tell us how this came to be.
Which is a Dan Levitard podcast. So I am the famed whistleblower of the Phoenix Suns. One of the famed whistleblowers of the Phoenix Suns, and Robert Sarver. Robert Sarver at one point came behind me in front of an entire office and pulled my pants down in front of them. And years and years and years later, I still thought about it, but at that point, who cares? Not that I don't care, but who would care besides me? So I never said anything until the Suns categorically denied all this sexual harassment and racism and misogynistic behavior that was starting to come out. And so then I kind of pumped my chest out. I was like, okay, that's bullshit. You did this to me in public, so I believe most of this stuff is probably true. Mm-hmm. So I came out publicly with my name, thinking that would give credence to some of the women who could not speak out because of NDAs or just fear of backlash. So I was like, whatever, I'll put my name out there. And then I got my go at yourself, you're a liar, kill yourself comments, but nothing that I couldn't, just turn my computer off on. And so Sarver, the report came out, the NBA, and I was part of that investigation. I spoke with the law firm a few times. And then Silver, the commissioner of basketball, gave him a 1-year, $10 million slap on the wrist, which I thought was complete bullshit. And then within a week, he was kind of like, okay, fine, I'll sell. And so Basketball Illuminati reached out to me, and they said, hey, we want to talk to you about this. They had actually reached out to me a couple times before, and I just didn't have the energy to actually come on, but Tom Haberstroh, who runs that podcast, invited me on, said, hey, we'd love to hear your story. You're one of the big, quote unquote whistleblowers of this story. And you're a big reason. He basically told me I was a reason why this was happening. And so I went on there and told my story, and it was cool, really nice. Amin, who's been on ESPN for years and years and years, was on there too. I actually went to Arizona State, really nice guy. And it was a pleasurable experience. And I didn't make a fool out of myself, which is always nice.
Well, you've got some good podcasting experience via Champions Adjust.
So to that point, I'm just going to go ahead and announce my retirement for this, and I'm just going to do guest spots from now on.
Well, can you be a guest on this podcast?
Just kidding.
And he did rock a Champions Adjust hat.
I did.
On the pod via Zoom.
Yes.
But you can listen to the audio.
Yeah, go to Spotify, go to Apple Music, and search either Basketball Illuminati or just David Bodzin. And, it's a 32-minute, quick pod with those guys over at Basketball Illuminati. Shout out to you guys. It was absolute treat hanging out with y'all for about 45 minutes or so.
And while you're at Spotify and Apple,
Champions Adjust.
Why don't you give a rate and review to Champions Adjust Pod?
Unless it's not 5 stars, in which case just don't do it.
Yeah, definitely should be 5 stars. And also, that's a good point, though. If it's not 5 stars, tell us why.
Yeah.
Tell us why, because we want to do better. I liked this episode. I think we just kind of shot the shit a little bit, which was cool.
Yeah.
Just hanging out. Good to see you, Coach Bods.
Hey, man, it's good to be seen.
Always.
You have a game tonight?
I got a game tonight, baby. 8:45 McKinnish.
Yeah, let's go McKinnish.
McKinnish, field 10.
That's what we're going to be practicing for three days this
Yeah, I love McKinnish. We practiced there before.
Field 10, baby.
Fired up. And then I think I play at Prestonwood on Sunday. And after we have practice.
Yeah, I think next week we should go with our playoff predictions.
Playoff predictions.
Start our postseason.
Our special postseason edition of Champions Adjust will be coming soon.
Here we go.
This was episode number 12 of season 2. So thank you for listening and thank you for watching.
Yeah, no, I think also if you're listening, give some feedback on this. I think I'm starting to put together a list of some guests that would come after the playoff episode. So if you are interested in that, or if you're interested in coming on and talking to us.
Yeah, and if you go to champsadjust.com, you can sign up for the weekly newsletter, which gets you a weekly newsletter every Wednesday. And when we release a podcast, you'll get that too directly into your inbox. And then follow us on social, check out our merchandise, check out the Mindset program, and most importantly, always remember that
Champions Adjust, baby.
Champions Adjust. Boom.